You are listening to the Mom Halo podcast. This sweet ear candy will serve up laughs and aha moments as we talk to best-in-class thought leaders. These folks are dropping gems of genius. I'm Alana Kafitz, CEO and founder of the Mom Halo community. I'm a fun, fearless, freckled mom with 3 wild kiddos. I love to introduce you to ideas and people that will rock your world, all while laughing out loud, because that is the only way to get through the daily grind of parenthood. Plug in your earphones and let's get to them. We're recording today's podcast at the Collective Workspace in North York, voted one of the top 20 co-working and event spaces in Toronto by BlogTO for 2024. This gorgeous space is perfect for drop-in day passes, a long-term office suite with rentable boardrooms available on demand, and even an event space for your private and corporate event rentals. Check them out now at www.thecollectiveto.com or on Insta at The Collective TO and book a tour. Okay, hello. Welcome to the Mom Halo Show. I'm your host, Alana Kafitz, and I am honored and privileged to welcome a very dear friend and amazing thought leader in studio today. Let's give a warm Halo welcome to Jodi Rumack. Woo!
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I love it. Okay, Jodi, why don't you run us through who you are and what you do? Go for it.
Okay, we're jumping right in. So who I am, I'm an online business coach. I help other coaches grow their online businesses, typically through group coaching and through creating workshops that convert. I started my career in business in the fitness industry. So I was a personal trainer. I became a fitness manager. I was a regional manager responsible for 13 locations, 100 plus people on my team, and really learned about business through that corporate role. And then I left there in 2013, I believe, and went out on my own. I basically recreated my job. So I was initially working with clubs and studios all across Canada, the US, even in the UK, and helping them grow those businesses. And as I did that, I was growing my online business. So I was learning all of the online business strategy and all of that. I had a really great coach who I actually ended up working for. So I did that business for 5 years, and then I transitioned into being the head coach inside of her 7-figure business. And then I just couldn't get the entrepreneur out of me. And so about 18 months later or so, I decided to go back on my own. And from there, I've been coaching people online and now work with all kinds of different coaches. I have lots and lots of fitness, health, nutrition, that stuff. Lots of people are in life coaching, mindset, money, some other business coaches too. And yeah, I've been running that business since 2020.
I love that so much. Okay, so Jodi, when somebody calls you right now, what's like the chief complaint? Somebody who's running a business, like what is their issue that they're having that you help them solve?
Yeah, I mean, most people are obviously struggling to find clients. It's the most common thing, but it's actually not the main thing that I help with. So I'm not necessarily a marketing coach per se. I am more of the coach once you have the clients. I'm helping you scale. I'm helping you grow. I'm helping you troubleshoot, make those CEO level decisions, helping you with planning and productivity and all of that kind of stuff. So typically my clients, when they're in that phase, when they're already, getting clients regularly, now it's like, how do we scale? And so the most important thing here, in my opinion, is to get into a system that brings in those clients really consistently. So they might have had them, maybe they've been using referrals, maybe they've been going to networking events and stuff like that. But when you're trying to get to the next level, maybe you want to get to 10K, 15K plus, whatever it is, there needs to be a system. And so the system that I use is creating a group coaching program so they can leverage their time, right? So they're not in one-to-one calls all day long. And then creating a workshop that converts so that they can continuously bring people in using that workshop as, the lead generator and then being able to convert them from there.
Yeah, I love that. So when you're doing that, I know you're like really an expert at this particular topic. You and I have worked together and I'm learning so much from you.
Thank
Can
you.
you give us, like, anyone who is watching and listening now who is a coach from any ecosystem, any industry? I've had the privilege to sit with you for many months and for us to swap sort of industry secrets.
Yeah.
But give us like a 10%. Like what's the first thing you tell somebody who's trying to um, work on those processes? And what, well, tell us a bit about that online um, element and how people can like maybe start thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think one mistake that I definitely made, and I see all kinds of coaches still making, is that we think that because we're delivering online, that we have to do our lead generation online. And for most people, they actually can build a really great, well, for everyone, they can build a great business with 20 clients. You can get to 6 figures doing monthly group coaching with 20 clients. Okay. So for most people, they could actually get those 20 clients through their own networking, through meeting people. I wouldn't rely on referrals necessarily because eventually those start to slow. But going to networking events, connecting, maybe you're connecting with people online, but you're meeting them in person, right? Maybe you're hosting your own events, with which you and I both do, right? So I think one mistake that I see people making is thinking that because they're delivering online, that's where their lead gen is. And they are spending so much time in things like content creation that they haven't learned. Obviously, you are the content creator in this situation here, and you're amazing at it. You've been able to get clients from it, but most people struggle with that. And so I think it's really important for people to realize, like, you don't need to be a content creator. Like, you can still run a business like we did before online existed, and you can still find clients using, old school networking and events and stuff like that to do it.
It's so funny you say that because like I tend to, I guess, straddle both worlds. Um, and people come to me to help with that other piece, which is to like leverage their organic social in order to generate clients. And I also for a long time had a very unique problem, which was I had thousands and thousands of potential customers and nothing to sell them. And that's when I had to pivot my business to creating an actual product, which was a membership.
Yeah.
And then now obviously business coaching. So it's very interesting to see how people come at this in different ways. Okay, so let's talk about some of the old school ways in which we find clients. Walk us through. You talked about networking. Talk about some other ways.
Yeah, like, so networking is a huge one. Going to events, showing up, being in the world, right? This is a really great way to do it. Some other things that people might not think matter are things like going to the coffee shop to work. I know it sounds silly, but honestly, I went to the coffee shop last week and the week before, at least one day, and both times I met somebody. So you just never know. And it was like, I overheard this, woman having a conversation. I could tell she was in the online space. I could tell she was doing some coaching and stuff like that. I wasn't, trying to listen in, but she was right beside me and I couldn't help it. And when she had sort of a break in the conversation, I said, when you have a sec, like, come over. I'd love to chat. And anyway, I have a call with her next week, right? So it's like, you just never know where they're going to come from. So that would be one thing that you could do. Speaking is another one for sure. If you want to get in front of people, if you can do some speaking, maybe you're going to some networking events, but you also maybe plant the seed with the person who's running them saying, hey, I'd love to speak. That'd be a great way as well. And then when you are online, like, I'm all about the DMs. So for me, like, this is one area where you and I are opposites, which is hilarious because we both got into a great place and done it totally different ways. But for me, doing the content, which you're actually helping me with now, working on the content never really was the thing that got me clients. It was getting in the DMs with them. So it was like creating the content that triggered the reason to be able to DM them. So when you have, a lot of people look at their following and go, I only have insert number here, right? I only have 200 followers. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you have 200 followers. DM them. Like, get in the messages with them, talk to them, ask them what they need help with, ask them what's going on, add value, invite them to your workshop, let them know you created this brand new training or a guide or whatever. Like, do the things that are going to show that you are there to help them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so smart. And Jodi, you are right. Like you actually have brought me a bit to like the Muhammad Mountain scenario here. Like you brought the horse to water. Like I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid because let's just talk about the DMs email situation
Okay.
because I think it's
Yeah.
really interesting. So Jodi, this is what I'm going to say, believes that and she has so much proof that when you get into a conversation in direct messages on any social platform, it's so much more conversational, right? It's like two
Yeah.
friends having a conversation.
Yes.
I come from a camp, which I'm trying to unlearn because Jodi's teaching me that all roads lead to email. That what you're trying to do is capture someone's email and move the conversation to email. And what I think where Jodi has really like shed light on this topic for me, and this sounds like
Yeah.
really granular, and I know it's like 1% of our knowledge exchange and what
Yeah.
you're such a masterful at.
Thank you.
But Jodi has schooled me a bit. Like when you're in your emails, like that's more of a professional platform. Like you're like having a conversation, you're like keeping track, right? There's not a dialogue. It's more like you're getting to the dialogue. You're making a meeting. You're trying to get to the Zoom call. You're trying to get to, some moment where there is a conversation. What Jodi has taught me is like in the DMs, in the direct messages on social, the conversation is it's converting, like it's already converting. It doesn't need to go to email. And I'm
Yeah.
such a strong proponent of trying to get people's email addresses, and this is why I'm probably going to do both strategies, is
Yeah.
because I don't love a third party platform to own all my relationship, right?
Totally.
So what if Facebook and Instagram disappeared tomorrow or they changed their policies? Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't know who's who. I wouldn't be able to talk
Yeah.
to my people. So to me it is kind of like a four sides of the same table, right? Like
Yeah.
foundationally, it's important, but I put a lot of emphasis on moving people to email, and Jodi puts a lot of emphasis on DMs. Do
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
speak more to this? Go for it.
Yeah, this is like, there's so much to say about this. So I too use email. I do. It's not that I don't, right? I use it too. I just don't rely on it solely, right? Alone. And actually, okay, two things I want to talk about. One is the numbers and the conversions. When you're in email, like, and you and I actually had this conversation, I think just last week. When you're in email, the conversion rate on your emails is like 1%. So in order to get
Right.
people to start booking calls and converting to your offers and creating sales pages, like part of it for me is that people have to learn all these other skills, like how to design, how to write copy, how to do all that stuff when you're in email and you're trying to sell from it. And you also need volume. So if I'm selling 1%, even if I need like one person takes me 100 people on my list, right? So now that ratio is really low. And so I have to get a ton of volume into the email list to make it work for me. What I love about DMs is that anyone can do it. Anyone can have a conversation, right? You don't have to learn to be a copywriter and a designer and all of that stuff. So that's one reason I love it. Also, the conversions are way higher. So yes, it takes time. And yes, obviously when you send one email to thousands of people, it's faster, of course. But when I'm in the DMs, if you're able to convert those conversations, maybe out of 10 people that you talk to, you book 3 or 4 calls. Well, that's a pretty good return, right? And of those 3 or 4, maybe you close one, maybe you close 2 of them as you get better at doing it, right? So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
so when people want to go online, even if they want to deliver online, that's cool, but let's stay with the personal connection because it's going
Yeah.
to convert way faster, bar none, hands down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting, right? Because like my challenge is, I think when you get to a certain level of
Yeah.
followers, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
I hate when things get lost in the DMs.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
my problem. It's like I have a hard time tracking who's who in the zoo. So I try to use like all the tags and, flags and lead
Yeah.
gens, and it's all built in because people do this strategy.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how two different people who are like, on the face of it, very successful in their lanes, just approach this one thing so differently. And that's why I love working with Jodi. You're sort of getting like a sneak preview of like how we talk to one another and the things we
Yeah,
learn
it's
from
been
each other.
so, yeah, it's been amazing and so interesting for me too. Like we're literally
Yeah.
opposites about all of the
Yeah.
things. And you've
All
helped
the
me,
things.
you've helped me in so many different ways as well. Like just last week, we talked a lot about a lot of things last week, but even
Yeah.
just last week we were talking about some more like typical marketing, like radio and press releases and stuff like that. This is not my world. And so we're talking about press release, and I'm like, what does that mean? I know what it is, but like, what do I put in it? How do I write it? Who do I talk to?
Yeah.
How do I get it out there? Like, I have all these questions, things that I have no idea about, honestly. Right? So it's just
Yeah, no, I'm a big believer in like, obviously, I'm a big digital marketing person, but there are, as you say, old school, or I call it guerrilla marketing type
yeah,
strategies. So let's kick the can on some of it because I think this is a good value add. Okay, let's talk about a press release, Jody. What do
yeah.
we know? What is a press release? Like, run us through what you've learned.
Now you're putting me on the spot.
I'll introduce, like we're having a conversation. I'll help you.
It's like a one-page document basically that tells people who you are, what you do, and kind of highlights your expertise. And it's something that I think typically a PR type of person would be using to help you get spots, whether it's podcast or radio or TV or whatever. That's what I got.
Right. Yeah, no, it's really good. So, and you're right, all those things. A press release is what is, I would call something that's newsworthy. It's something that's worth
Yeah.
covering.
Yeah.
And typically, traditional media gets a press release based on something. It could be something like a launch of a new real estate. Like real estate does this a lot, right? They're like, oh, the new, you know, I don't know, Tridell building is
Yeah.
coming and it's called, Pursuit. I don't know, something like that, right? They make a big deal because it's a marketing strategy, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, Jodi is like the leading foremost online CEO coach in Canada. She's coached for 15 years. She's built people's businesses beyond belief. Her resume is so deep and her experience is incredible. So we're like, why don't we write a press release because Jodi's has a new offer. She's pivoting a bit right now. So that's part of like why it's newsworthy because she is the foremost expert. She lives in Ontario. She lives in Newmarket, and her neighbors probably don't even know like how skilled she is or her knowledge area. And the key thing with it is that it's sort of short, poignant, and quotable. So you can pull things from it that could be a soundbite, for instance, right? So it could be talking that Jodi Rumack is launching a new offer that's super accessible to, and geography is no boundary. And then maybe there's a quote from Jodi, and maybe there's then a quote from one of her customers saying how incredible the experience was. And those are quotable quotes. So that's what a press release is, in my opinion.
I love that. Those are great extra tips that we hadn't talked about yet.
Yeah, there you go. So I love that. Yeah. So I was in your house recently and you were hosting an amazing networking event. Talk to me about the power of those moments, like workshops, live events, like I mean, obviously some people do this as like their primary form of networking, but explain like what is the power of networking? What is the power of hosting events and going to events? Go through that.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about hosting first because it's such a great way for you to build credibility quickly. It's a way for people to get to know you, to see you, to, obviously you're going to put together something that is going to show your expertise, right? So I actually run mine with my partner, who's life and business partner, and we do it in our house. And he is a Reiki master. He's a holistic lifestyle coach. And the event that we run really shows his skill set and his abilities to support people with the energy clearing and the emotional support and the lifestyle design and all of that. And then my, area of expertise, which is more on the strategy side. And so we created this event so that we could bring them together, and we call it Suburban Co-working Retreat. And so it is co-working to get people to actually get shit done, if I'm allowed to say that. And it's also the retreat piece where people are getting a chance to get grounded. We go for a trail walk, right? So we're really bringing people into our world and showing them what it's like to work with us. And so anytime you're hosting an event, you're obviously going to be sharing your own expertise, and you're letting people see you. You're letting people get to know you, and then they can come and talk to you and they can ask you questions, and it's personal. And I don't know, I think after all the craziness of the world in the last 5 or 6 years, like people are still dying for in-person connection. Like, I don't know about you, but it is like tenfold for me personally right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true, and I run a bunch of networking communities. And I just had a baby, so I took my gas
Yeah.
off the pedal of hosting them, but I think I do want to bring them back with a vengeance because you're right. There's
Yeah.
nothing that replaces it. There
Nothing.
really isn't. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And I love the fact, like when I went to your event in your house, there was not a lot of people. It was like 12 people or whatever it
Yeah.
was, but they were people I'd never met before from every walk of life. And I made a bunch of contacts of people who are
Yeah.
like great people that I'm for sure like I can support them and they can support me, right? So I think commerce happens, right? Like people
Yeah.
buy from one another, right? And they sell from one another. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Okay, Jodi, where do you want to go next? Give us another like little tidbit. Like what's another, when you're running your webinars, for instance, like what's the power of a webinar? Explain what it brings to the table.
Okay. So again, this is actually also another way to build credibility really quickly, right? You want people to see you. You want them to be in your space. You want to get to talk to them. So, for example, when I run a webinar, most people, when you get on a webinar, you see the host, but the host doesn't see you, right? When I run a webinar, I make it so that I see everybody because it allows me to actually engage with them. I can see them. I can see their face. I can see if they're paying attention or not. I can talk to them when we do the Q&A at the end. It's not like through a chat, right? Like I like things to be personal. So there's huge power. And honestly, when I was running my previous workshop, which I'm actually bringing back next week, depending on the date that this goes out, it's going to be in March.
Yeah.
But when I was running that workshop before, I was running the same workshop every 2 weeks over and over and over again. And that was really huge too, because what a lot of people do is they create these workshops. Two things that they do. One is they create it with this corporate workshop style where it's not actually designed to sell. That's one. And the other is they continue to create all kinds of different ones without actually refining one and repeating it. And so they're spending, again, all of this time in content creation mode, never knowing if it's going to convert or not. And if they're creating it with a corporate style rather than to convert as a sales workshop, they're not converting from it either.
Right.
So those are two like big things that I see a lot: corporate style workshops and not repeating the same one over and over again.
Yeah. So Jodi encouraged me to do this. I think I was like November. And it was a really amazing learning experience because I think the other thing with someone like you who's an expert at this, there's a methodology, right? There is a strategy and there's sort of a paint by numbers you can follow.
Yes.
And people, I think, come to these things being like, oh, I can do that. Psh, this is like easy peasy. And then you try to do it and it's really challenging. Like it's not, some people say that to me about social media, right? They're like, whoa, it takes so much bravery to show up and then they think they can do it.
Right.
And they have no idea, right? Like it really is not, they're not masterful of it. So like, do you hear that?
I hear a bell.
Beeping. There's a beeping going off where I am right now. Sorry.
Yeah.
I hope it ended.
What's that? Bell.
That's just, I got it. Please stop texting me. Sorry. Julian, edit this out. Just tell my podcast editor to take this part out. Let's go there. So Jodi schooled me on this particular piece where I witnessed her running a webinar, and then I tried to like emulate with her coaching how to do the webinar, and it was like I was like a fish out of water. Like I was such a new moment for me, and I was like scared and nervous, and I haven't pulled the plug on doing it again. But it is something I'm going to bring back, and I'm really excited to do that. So explain why the repetition matters, Jodi.
Yeah, I mean, if you're one of the lucky few who run a workshop and it works perfectly the first time, like awesome. But for most people, that's not how it goes, right? And so people are very quick to say, well, it didn't work. Nothing happened. It didn't work. And it's like, well, no, like we have to look at the numbers, first of all. Like if you're going to say it didn't work, but you only had 20 people there, then I need to know where it didn't work. Did not enough people show up? Did not enough people book calls? Did not enough people show up to the calls or close on the calls? Like, what is the gap, right? So it's very easy for people to just go, well, I had 20 people and nobody ended up buying. Well, it's maybe not enough people. Or maybe we need to help get more of them to come live. Or maybe you need to book calls instead of pitching your offer on the workshop. Like, there are all different strategies that you can use. So I think people are really quick to say it doesn't work. And so when they do that, they're starting from scratch all the time. So when you do the same one all the time, you can continuously refine it, right? You can look back and go, okay, what worked, what didn't? How do I make this part better? People loved this part. They really responded over here. Like, you know what I mean? And so you get to actually improve it. And that's the whole point. You have to stick to it. You have to stick with something and just make it better and better and better until it does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, no, Jod, it's such a good reminder. I'm going to launch the webinar again
Okay,
because I think it's interesting to me. I mean, what you also schooled me on, and I'm going to go through it because I know you give away this information in your webinar, so I'm not like giving any trade secrets away. But can you talk to me a bit about your fight song, which I think is just like reoccurring revenue?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't understand how to do that. Can you like give us your like tip of the iceberg, reoccurring revenue? How do you get it to happen? And then we can talk about what most people do and what you coach. Go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so I love reoccurring revenue because when I started my very first business, I wasn't doing that. I was getting people to pay in full. I was charging high ticket prices, and it was very roller coaster revenue situation. And it didn't feel certain. It didn't feel solid. I couldn't manage the money properly. Like, you know, and most business owners, especially at the beginning, don't manage their money properly. And it really like led to burnout, right? Never mind all the one-to-one coaching and all that stuff, but just the constant unknown of it. And some months were whatever they were, 5, 6, 10K. And then some months were 0. And you think to yourself, oh, I only need 3 clients to pay me in full. But not every month do you get those 3 clients. And so with reoccurring revenue instead, what that means is I get people to pay monthly. And a lot of people ask me, well, if you're having someone pay monthly and it's over 6 months, do they end up paying you? Right? And I can tell you right now, I've had very, very few people not pay me, like 2% low kind of thing. So yes, they pay me. And actually it feels for them like they are more engaged in it because they know there's this payment coming out. If they paid me 3 months ago, it starts to feel like, well, the money's gone, whatever. I'm not showing up anymore. They're not as engaged. When I see the monthly payments coming through, even as a client, it keeps me in it, right? So I love to have the monthly payments. I typically run programs that are 4 to 6 months long. And part of it is, of course, for the client. I actually think it's better for them to be with you longer, to actually implement the habits that you're teaching them so they can achieve their goals. But on the business side, it is better for us so that we're not constantly chasing clients. It's not like every 2 months it's over and you have to find new people. We don't run in cohorts, right? I don't do like start date and end date. I do rolling enrollment so people can come in at any time. And then as that happens, it stacks, like what I call stacking your revenue. So if I bring in 3 clients every month, it's like, let's say I'm charging $500 a month, $1,500 the first month. The next month, the next 3 clients come in. Now it's $3,000. Then it's 45. Then it's 6, right? This is how I got to 10K in the first place, just by adding clients every single month and stacking that revenue. So when I finally got to 10K, it wasn't like this month is 10K. It's like the next 6 months are 10K.
Yeah.
Right? It's a completely different story.
It's a different story. And one of like the nuances that you've really brought home for me here is I was coached so differently on this topic. And obviously I'm still relatively new to creating these sorts of offers. But what really struck home for me is when somebody pays up front, they might then bail too quickly, and therefore they're not going to see the results because they're not putting in the work. So you sort of alluded to it, but I want to like underline and hyperscore, like since I've already moved 2 of my major clients onto a monthly pay, like they're already seeing progress because I'm seeing more of them, and they're more hungry and driven as a result of some of my other clients from last year even who did do an upfront pay, and now they're like floundering a bit. They're a little bit all over the place, right? Because we didn't stay together. And honestly, like the Olympics just passed and it made me think about coaches, right? And the value of coaches. And the reason is like you can have natural draw talent, but there's certain people who are experts who can help you get further, faster, stronger, better.
Yeah.
And that's really where coaching comes in. And the most successful people on the planet all have coaches, right? Like nobody is doing them on their own in some way. Whether or not it's business therapy, online coaching, marketing coaching, like you cannot get there alone, right? So that's why I love, to me, was the big light bulb when you explained that revelation was like a revelation for me as well.
Interesting. Yeah. It's just funny what you notice as you try different things, right? Like I've done the paid in full, I've done the monthly, and neither's wrong, right? You can do paid in full if you want to. We like to do it sort of like an 80-20, like 80 reoccurring revenue, 20% paid in full, right? To get some cash injections going on sometimes. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that for me, I am a systems person. I like some clarity. I like to know what's going on. I like to look at my revenue and know what's coming in 6 months from now. And when you go into a month and you don't have to start from zero, that feeling alone changes the way you operate, right? If I'm going into the month knowing, even if it's a bare minimum of like paying your bills, right? If you go into the month knowing your bills are paid and now everything else that you get is gravy, that feeling helps you operate differently. Instead of operating from like scramble mode, you're operating from like, I'm good and I'm ready for whatever's coming next. That's a big difference too.
It's a huge difference.
Huge.
I love that. Okay. Let's talk about program length, because I know you're like you mentioned it, but I want us to go a little deeper. Talk to us about the 4 to 6 month. What is that about?
So this actually came from my fitness background, because back in the day, I started personal training in like, I don't know, I'm going to date myself, like 2002 or something. And when we were doing that in fitness, we were selling like 5 packs, 10 packs, 20 was like a big deal when people bought 20 sessions. And what ended up happening was people would get started, but they never really got true results in that amount of time, right? Even if they had 20 sessions, if they were training twice a week, they were training for 2.5 months. As soon as you stopped training, they stopped coming to the gym. So it wasn't like consistent enough. It wasn't ingrained in them enough. They didn't like embody those habits and that lifestyle to keep it up. And so in the company that I worked for, we actually made this huge change where we were only selling a minimum of something like, I don't remember the exact number, whether it was 48 sessions, which was like 4 months worth or whatever it was. And that changed the game, because when we did that and we put our foot down and we said to people, like, if what you can do right now is 10 sessions, here's what you can do instead without paying for anything. And instead, let's wait until you're ready and we'll do the 48 or the whatever it is. And it just changed the way that we like operated, right? And people were getting better results. They were more committed. They were getting used to the lifestyle and the habits, which at the end of the day, when you're coaching somebody, the biggest change is like 9 times out of 10 is going to be habit change, no matter what coaching you're doing. And people need time. It's not just about teaching them the things in an 8-week course. They need to implement. They need to integrate. And so for me, 4 months is like the minimum on that. And I prefer actually 6. And it's so that they actually get better results and they really, bring whatever you're doing with them into their lives so that they continue to do it even when you're gone.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's such a good reminder, Jodi, honestly. And for me, it really does highlight and underscore like why some people are just not getting the results, or are burning out, or why they're floundering, or why they can't get to the next level, or what I call these, like you call them cash infusion, I call them like ATM moments, right? Where you sell something and you get the high 5 figures, and then the next 3 months you don't, right? But it's really hard in that moment to then like be like, okay, I have the money dwindling in my account, especially when it's a business account. And it's really, really nice to have. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, what they're kind of missing from a day job is a regular, recurring, accountable paycheck, right?
You can
this does. You can create it, which is so beautiful. So I love that so much. Okay, so we did length. We did. I'm going through your offer.
Funny, you're going through the thing.
Right.
Creating a course is
What,
another one. We talked about the paid in full stuff.
let's talk about, okay, so
Course versus
what, when you coach a CEO to, or like a person influencer, a subject matter expert to create a course, like let's go through that sort of 101. Go for it.
Okay, so I actually recommend that they don't create a course. I recommend that they do what I call a resource library. And basically, what that means is they're taking the content that they have, they're structuring it typically under, let's say, 3 to 5 main pillars of the things they talk about. I'll use a fitness example because that's what most of my clients do. Let's say there's one pillar that's nutrition, and one is mindset, and one is exercise, right? The actual workout. So they might have 3 pillars. And basically, under each of those pillars, you have resources, whether that is a video, whether it's a worksheet, a checklist, a training, whatever, it doesn't matter. And the idea is that we aren't trying to create this step-by-step course. Because when we try to do that, especially if you're trying to create it when you're just starting out in your coaching business, it's very difficult to try to figure out what people need exactly in the right order. And what you'll find is most of your coaching clients are going to be different, right? They might have the same goal, but the way they get there is going to be nuanced and different. And so by having a resource library that doesn't require step by step, one, it helps the coach get it launched because we're not getting stuck in like making sure that it's exactly the way they think it's supposed to be and all of that stuff. And two, for your clients, it allows you to meet them where they're at. So for one client, again, I'll just use fitness and nutrition. If one client is trying to lose 20 pounds, but their biggest challenge right now is there's zero movement in their day, then their first activity or their first focus might be to get in a walk every day. And someone else might be focusing on not emotionally eating at 9 o'clock at night, right? So it's like people are in different places.
But we were just talking about
The courses versus.
courses, right? I was mentioning the fact that I come from a different train of thought, which is that I was taught to make courses, and like, it sucks. So it's such a better alternative.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so again, the resource library is really a place where you can put your resources into 3 to 5 pillars. And, you know, those resources can be anything from checklist to a video to a training to a guide, whatever. And there's a few things that I really love about it. One is it helps the coach not feel like they have to figure out this step-by-step course situation when they haven't even delivered it yet for a lot of them, right? They're starting new in coaching. They're trying to create a course and it's like, how could you possibly do that when you haven't worked with enough clients yet, you know? And the resource library allows you to just add in resources that you know people are going to need, but they can come and use them as it makes sense for them, right? So you can meet them where they're at. So I really love that about it. And it keeps you from getting stuck in that, like, I'm not launching yet because the course isn't done. That's a big one I hear all the time.
Yeah, no, it does feel like it is a very challenging way to move through life and business, right? And you feel like you need to do live teaching. Talk to me about, your theories on live teaching. Go through that. I love that.
Sorry, say it again. What's the question?
Sorry, when you run your coaching programs or when you teach coaching programs, I want you to go through. I grew up, and this is the complete opposite, and why I love learning from Jodi. That you live teach, and you don't believe in live teaching. You don't teach live teaching. Teach what I want you to share what you teach.
Okay, sorry, I got you. So I don't do live teaching. So most people think when they're running a group coaching program, it's like all the pieces come together. When they think they're running a cohort that starts on this day and ends on that day, where people are at the same place every week, people always think, well, week 1 is this, and week 2 is that, and week 3 is that, and they have like it planned out, right? But when you have rolling enrollment, which I also recommend, where people can join at any time, you really can't do that every single week because people are in different places. And so what I do is I actually create those teachings in a video format. Maybe I teach them live the first time and then I just save it and put it into the video format so that going forward, when people come in and they're looking at, the very beginning of the lessons, they can just go in and watch, right? So they're not coming to the call looking for that kind of a training. And then that way we can use the coaching call as just that, straight coaching call. So they have an hour, everyone gets their questions answered. I never leave questions unanswered. And I also always finish in an hour, like hard stop at 60 minutes. So they get to go and watch the videos and the trainings behind the scenes on their own time, and then Q&A during the coaching call.
See, to me, this was like game changing. And I'm sure if you're watching this and you came from any of the schools of thought that I came from, this is super, super revolutionary, which I love. Okay, Jodi, take us home. What's like one last like nugget that you think is really valuable for people to hear today?
Okay, so I think the one lesson that I have had to learn over and over and over again is that I know my business best. And my gut instinct and what I think I should do is the most important. And so this is how I ended up coming up with the things that we just talked about, because the coaches and the gurus and the experts were saying otherwise. And in my gut, in my soul, in my heart, I knew that those things didn't work for me. And this lesson has continued to come up over the years where, you know, I have thought, oh, I just need this kind of support and then we'll get there. I just need this and we'll get there. And at the end of the day, I'm realizing that the most important person in the business is me and what I think and what I know to be true and what I think is the right thing to do. So I think people just need to learn to trust themselves and to follow their own instincts when they're trying to build their own businesses.
Yeah, I love that so much. People have so much fear, self-doubt, and they think their primary goal is to service their client, right? And that is true, but the primary goal of running your own business is to service yourself.
Right.
That's right.
And
That's
it has to feel good for you, and yeah, you have to feel excited and has to feel right. And you know, this is happening in real time right now. We're working with somebody who has different ideas about how we should do things, and you can kind of take what you need and leave the rest, right? So
yeah. 100%. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jodi, I mean, you see why I love this woman, why I was so excited to bring her on today.
Thank you
Jodi,
so
if people
much.
want to find you, can you tell us your social coordinates? How does someone learn from you, meet you, work with you, go through it all?
Yeah. So the best way, of course, is through the DMs. The easiest place to find me is at Jodi Rumack Coaching on Instagram. I'm checking it all myself. It's me. So send me a DM in there. Happy to, you know, chat with you and see how I can help, and happy to book a call or whatever everybody needs to help them move forward.
I love that. And we'll put everything in the show notes of how to get in touch with Jodi. I love that.
Awesome.
Jodi, it's like, you're such a powerhouse. As you guys can see why I love learning with her. And we love doing this sort of exchange so much. And I can't wait to like be more in Jodi's harem and her in mine. So it's been the ultimate pleasure to work with you and to like actually get to show you to our community, and hopefully for you to continue to impact people's lives to help them really create like very meaningful businesses that are quite profitable, right? And that's the goal.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I want to just echo it back to you that honestly, the last few months that we've been talking on a weekly basis, sharing ideas, supporting each other, like, one, it has meant the world to me, and I've really learned a lot from you, and it's just been such a great exchange. Like, I get off those calls and I feel like, okay, yes, I added value, but I got so much value. And you know, maybe this is another tip for everybody. Like, you just never know where the value is going to come from, and it doesn't need to be the $10,000 coach, right? It might just be a colleague. It might be someone who, you know, becomes your friend. It might be someone who's your hustle buddy. It might be an accountability partner. Like, it can come from all different places. So I just want to say, like, thank you so much. It's been so amazing, and I'm really looking forward to whatever comes next for us.
Yeah, Jodi and I are kicking the ball around about doing something together. So stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for watching, and have a great one. Thanks, everybody. Mwah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jodi. Woo. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Mom Halo podcast, I'd love your support by sharing it with others, posting about us on social, or leaving a really good rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at the Mom Halo. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Quick note for parents listening in Toronto and Montreal. This one's for you.
Whether daycare closes, your kid gets sick, your babysitter cancels, or you just need a break, want to go out or take some time for yourself, you need to know about Swaddle. Swaddle is an on-demand childcare app that instantly matches families with triple-vetted babysitters, night nurses, and tutors. From last-minute care, even just 3 hours before, to bookings up to 6 weeks in advance. Every caregiver is background checked, CPR certified, and experienced, so you can actually relax. Swaddle is available now in Toronto and Montreal. Download the Swaddle app, and for a little bonus, DM at swaddle.info, on the web at swaddle.info, on Instagram with the code MOMHALO to get a $10 credit.